All right. Welcome to another episode of Education Nation. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
On this first day of the week, I am
Yeah.
Michelle Renee, and this is Education Nation, where we raise awareness about the decline of literacy and examine solutions to address the literacy problem. Today, we're going to talk to Princess Medaya Yisrael about her legacy. In a time when in the nation want people who look like me to believe that our history in these American shores is unimportant and that
Mm,
we need to forget about it and get over it, get past it. We
mm,
will start with understanding why it is important for our children to understand how they are part of a legacy. Then we'll introduce the legacy that Princess Medaya has created for her children. But first, let's give due respect to the Female Global Network.
Women have the power to transform this world. We can end crime and violence if we all agree to do one thing: share. Let's share our wisdom, share our time, share our talents, share our finances, but most of all, let's share our love. This is the Female Solution.
Peace and love. I'm Michelle Renee, host of Education Nation, live on the Female Solution Global Network every second and fourth Sunday from 12 p.m. to 1 p.m. The intention of Education Nation is to raise awareness about the literacy crisis and to offer information to combat the problem. The goal is to awaken an army of reading coaches and mentors. You will experience guests who are doing their part in the community to ensure youth in their circles are reading and thinking critically. I look forward to serving you in this capacity. Literacy is freedom, and Education Nation will offer information and strategies to help ensure our young people stay free.
mhm.
Okay, Princess Medaya, good afternoon. How are you? I'm so glad to have you on this podcast.
Good afternoon. I am well and grateful and thankful for the opportunity to share and to be in such a great presence as such as yours, Laquena Michelle. And thank you for the invitation.
Okay, so um, I'm going to read your bio.
Okay.
Or would you prefer you just tell us something about yourself and what you do?
I guess you can read it and then I can just expound on it throughout the
Okay,
questions and things.
okay, fantastic. So our guest today is Princess Medaya Yisrael. She is an experienced educator, youth leader, and co-founder of Goshen Hebrew Academy at Temple Kifarim, where she has served in a multitude of leadership roles, including administration, assistant principal, and principal. With over a decade of professional experience in both education and healthcare, she brings a unique blend of structure, compassion, and hands on leadership to every environment she serves. Princess Medaya has a strong passion for youth development and community building. She has coordinated educational programs, led fundraising initiatives, and created engaging learning experiences to students of all ages. She is known for her ability to create safe, organized, and uplifting environments. She is committed to empowering youth through creativity, leadership, and meaningful learning experiences. Welcome to my sister. And I must say one thing about her. I observed Goshen Hebrew Academy. It's a virtual school. I observed several of the classes, And I'm telling you, I was so impressed at how organized a virtual school could be.
Mm,
I hadn't bought into the idea that a virtual school could be organized and engaging and impactful for the young people. But with the way that this sister organizes that school on a daily basis, I was impressed, um, and I enjoyed watching um, the process. And it's
mm.
on Zoom. Unbelievable.
I told her about, told her about for that introduction. Truly.
Okay, so let's start with my first question, and that
Yes.
is, what is legacy, and why is it important for our history? Why is it important that our children learn our history?
Mm. Very important questions. First, what is legacy? Legacy is something that has been passed down to for generations. It could be one thing, it could be numerous things, but it's something that has been passed down and picked up and carried on. So it's
Mm-hmm,
like we can speak, say, oh yeah, my grandfather did da 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 da. And that's the legacy that your grandfather did. But
mm-hmm,
then legacy is a continuation. It's not something that stops. Or it doesn't become just that's the story of your family and that's it. Every
mm-hmm.
generation pulls up that legacy and carries it and carries the legacy either forward and in some cases backward. But
Okay.
prayerfully forward is the way that the legacies are being carried. So that, as you said, what I've done is picked up the legacy, carried it forward so that in the future, my children, grandchildren, great great grandchildren, forward on, will be able to pick it up and move it further and further, you know, all being creators will, and
Mm-hmm.
that they feel it. But also,
Yeah.
legacy is also carried differently. Legacy can be given to you in one package, and then you can take that legacy and reform it to make it even better and brighter, in different ways. So legacy doesn't have to follow the same pattern. It can enhance the legacy, as I said before, and I pray that that's what I'm doing with the legacy that's been handed to me.
Okay. And so that actually explains why our history is important. So I
Mhm.
stalked your Facebook page, and I
Okay.
saw I saw some images that I
Mm.
felt were a part of your legacy that you can tell us good stories about. So
Okay.
I am going to add that to
Mm.
the screen, and I want you to tell us. Wait, hold
Mm.
on a second. I want you to tell us stories about. Okay, here we go. I love these images. These images, when I saw them, they touched my heart. And they touched my heart because I was a teenager in the 70s, and these images reminded me of that time.
Mhm.
So if you can tell us about these two images.
Absolutely. Now, as I'm sitting here, I'm trying to control my emotions
Okay.
about these images. So the first image you see is my mother holding me as a baby. It's the only picture that I have of my mother holding me as an infant. But
Oh.
this picture was used to represent a time when my mother was being taken back to prison jail in New York after she had my youngest sister. And they used the
Mm,
picture of me and my mother because they didn't have a picture of my baby sister and my mother. My
wow.
baby sister was 3 weeks old, and they came back to arrest my mother and place my mother in jail. And she was in prison jail, however you want to say it, for 9 months of my baby sister's life. In the beginning of her life, she was also
Wow.
pregnant with my baby sister, um, in the picture next to it.
Wow.
That
Okay.
picture, as you see, it's two little girls. I'm the little girl with the braids and the finger in the mouth. I had a nail biting fetish. I think it was just a nervous thing that
Yeah.
happened during these times.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other little girl is my little sister, Ayana. She is a year and I think 9 months younger than me. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
but in the belly, and you can see my mom's belly,
Yeah.
it's quite protruded out there. That's my
Right.
baby, Dr.
Mm-hmm.
Asante Wasmani Ali. And this picture was captured when we were being extradited back to the United States from Belize, where my parents were on the run from being falsely accused of different things going on at the time, namely the Brinks robbery of an armored truck in Nyack, New York. And so we were extradited and we were being transferred to New York, but they had to stop in Miami. And this is one of the pictures that was snapped. If you could see, there is a young man like right on the side of my mom. That's my oldest brother, Chaka Zulu. And he tells the story that whenever they would start snapping pictures, he would turn and walk away
Mm-hmm.
as part of his form of being uh, disciplined and
Yeah.
not allowing them to, just
And
capture what they
defiance.
and defiance.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But so this picture represents a lot, both pictures. And wow. Um, some of the things I remember as a child, but it definitely represents one thing I always like to point out is the resilience of my mother. Um, in this picture, I don't see no fear. I've never seen fear in my mother. She
Mm.
still looks regal and elegant, like, this is who she is. And that's one thing that I've always revered in her, was her tenacity to show strength in the hardest of times. These were some very hard times in our life during this time. So
Yeah.
many things happened, and so many people were being assassinated, arrested, tortured,
Yeah.
um, and so many other different movement children were being, taken from their parents or murdered. And so, yeah, these pictures are very sentimental, but also informational. And so, yeah, I cherish these pictures. That picture with us, that's actually a newspaper article, and then the other
Oh,
one is a flyer. Um,
okay.
yeah, so
And so I'm assuming that these pictures, yet that your parents were part of a movement.
oh
What
yes.
movement?
So in this particular time, both my parents were in the Black Panther Party, the Black Liberation Army, and the Republic of New Africa.
Okay.
And so what they were being attacked on was basically their participation within the Black Panther Party at this time, and the false allegations that were being placed upon them. And we had run or went to exile in Belize with my father. Our father was there almost a year before we arrived, and then our mother went, and then we were then brought there to our parents.
Okay. It's interesting because we read a lot about the Black Panther Party and we see a lot of movies, but
Hmm.
nobody ever talks about the children,
Hmm.
about the babies who were born during that time of
Right,
members of the Black Panther Party.
right, yeah,
Nobody ever talks about that. And actually, I chose these pictures because they actually reminded me of that time.
mm, wow, yeah,
And we never see the children. We never hear from the children of that
hmm,
time. And I like the name. I saw a couple of images on your Facebook page that said "Seeds of Revolution,"
Right.
I'm like, oh boy, let's focus on that. Seeds of the
Yeah.
of revolution, meaning the children.
Right. Meaning the children. And
Yeah,
it comes from also when Tupac said they tried to bury us, but they didn't know we were seeds. And
yeah,
seeds grow in all type of different type of weather,
yeah.
soil, wherever. Seeds are gonna grow.
Mhm.
And that was the beauty of how we grew up, was that our parents taught us that we were going to prosper no matter what the government tried to do to us. And so we were seeds. And
Okay.
in the midst of all of that, we all grew, like Pac
Wow.
says, those that grew from concrete,
Yeah.
all things are metaphors of our life,
Mhm.
of the things that we went through, of how when you think about concrete, when you pour concrete, you're trying to eliminate something. One, you're
Right.
building a foundation, right?
Mhm.
When
Mhm.
you pour it over areas, you're trying to make that area no longer produce. If
Mhm.
you have grass, but
Mhm.
if you really if you study it, there's certain things that will push through that concrete, certain
Right.
seeds. And that's what our parents taught us about tenacity, about like
Mhm.
we can get through anything and we can grow through anything. And we did, and we have, and we
Mhm.
continue. And
And it's
yeah,
I
I
also
appreciate
find it interesting when an actual flower or plant
yes.
comes up out of the concrete.
Mhm. Yes. Yeah. That's powerful. That means those roots are strong. That means
Mhm.
whatever was embedded in that plant, it was, and we know that that's all in the creator's doing. It was formed to push through.
Mhm.
That's the importance of lessons that people have to learn, is push through no matter what you see ahead of you. You might see this wall, but that wall can't stop you. If you're meant to go through it, you're going to go through it, you know. And that's what I appreciate from my parents.
Mhm.
What you said earlier was like, yeah, the people don't hear from the children.
Nobody. Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
will say part of it is because as children, when we were younger, we were told not to talk about it. Not
Mm.
about it because they were ashamed, but
Mhm.
because so many things going on in the world that our parents were, it was a order of protection.
Right. Okay.
It was it wasn't necessarily even about secrecy, because now
Mhm.
people are like, oh, I didn't know that why
Mhm.
you didn't tell me that when you, and I was like, well, it wasn't time. I couldn't talk
Right.
about it. And there's still
Mhm.
things I will never talk about.
Yeah.
However, you
Yeah.
know, um, now we are able to talk about certain things. Now we are able to, and part of the ability to talk about it is because the world is asking more questions.
Mm. Okay.
And the world wants to know because they're putting out information that's false.
Mhm.
And we
Yes.
have to talk about it,
Yes.
defend the
Right.
legacies of our parents,
And
you
it's
know?
important that we, the public, understands the truth because
Right,
we don't get the truth from the media. We
right.
don't really get the truth from books that we read because they're not written by the
Yeah,
actual people that went through the experience. They're written
absolutely.
by others,
Yeah,
observers who didn't have all the facts. So
right.
therefore, we don't have all the facts.
Hmm.
And I think
Absolutely.
it's important for us to know the facts so that uh,
Yeah.
the seeds of that revolution are represented well and
Hmm.
factually.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
I hope you don't think my choosing these images, and I knew that they were going to have good stories
Hmm.
behind them, but I hope
Hmm.
you don't think that I was being intrusive.
Oh, no. Mm-mm. No.
Okay.
I share the images because they need to be shared. And there's times when I've talked about it. There's times I don't.
Yeah.
But as I've gotten older, I've been able to talk more about it without.
Hmm.
It was a time when I couldn't talk about it. I would just
Hmm.
kind of clam up and just cry because the
Oh.
the emotions of it were so raw. Uh,
Oh.
and that's still, like I said, I'm tearing up. I'm crying in between because they are
Yeah.
still raw. I
Yeah.
think it trauma, the trauma of growing up. Um, with always having to watch your back, always having
Mm-hmm.
to know that somebody is watching you, and not just somebody, but the government. And that at any point in time, they can come and raid your house. Our house was raided, at a certain point when I was 4 years old. And so, and my mother was shackled from hands to feet. And all the children from 9 months to 13-year-olds were arrested and taken to jail.
Wow.
All of us who were too little for handcuffs, they zip tied our hands. So
Wow.
it was traumatic. So a lot of it is it is
Wow.
healing to be able to talk about it. And it is also, it brings up a lot of emotions that as children you don't know what to do with it.
Yeah.
And I could say, like, we were happy children. My parents never made us, we were never sitting in a space sad. My brother talks
Mm-hmm.
about, like, we want to run. Us little ones would be playing games, and doing things that's normal children,
Mm-hmm.
because one thing they wanted us to feel like, not that we were normal, but not that we were abnormal.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so, I never want people to feel like, oh, those children were traumatized and they
Mm-hmm.
didn't have a childhood. We had a great childhood, but our childhood was just a little different than everybody else,
Right.
like,
Yeah.
challenging.
Yeah.
Inside our house, my father was a comedian. We had so much fun and laughter and love. Like, that was never something that we went without, you know. We only didn't have it when my parents were in prison or in jail. But even then, being able to visit with them, so it's so many different facets to it, but it was traumatic, and for a lot of us, um, yeah, it's still hard to talk about, and not cry or not just, clam up.
Yeah. It's hard to listen to and not cry because
Mhm.
it's certain parts of your story about those two images. I have tears. I feel it in my gut. It's emotional.
Mhm.
When I saw those two images, I knew that they were going to have good stories behind them.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I thank you for doing that.
So the next one,
Mhm.
these are the next two.
All
Tell me
right.
about those.
Beautiful images. So the first one with a family, it's a family picture. It's actually my mother, my father, and it's not even all my siblings. It's just
Mm,
a few of us. But my
mhm,
oldest brother, as I said earlier, Chaka Zulu. My baby sister being held by my mother. That's the one she was pregnant with. She's
mhm,
about probably 3 in this picture. No, maybe 2. And then you have my little sister Ayana, my twin brother Kofi Ata Shakur, and then myself. And we were actually in the home of the most powerful, one of the most powerful revolutionary supporters, comrades, who
mm.
actually held Malcolm X's hand as he was taking his last breath. We were in Yuri Kochiyama's home. And
Wow.
she was an ally of the movement. She's Japanese. And this
Mhm.
woman I'm talking about, I'm 5'2". She had to be like 4 feet, 4'2". I'm talking about
Wow.
children, she was our height. But
Wow.
the power that she possessed and represented as a warrior, a comrade, a leader, it was impactful. And so it's that being in her house was always really fun because she made it
Mhm.
fun for us. Like, even though the parents, all the elders and the adults would be off in meetings, she always made sure we had coloring books, stuff to draw on. I could tell
Wow.
you, like, I've had people come to me and be like, I was at Yuri Kochiyama's house and guess what I saw? And I'm like, what? 'Cause I'm like, I don't know. They're like,
Mhm.
on her refrigerator, she had coloring pages from when you were like 4 years old or 5 years old.
Wow.
Oh, wow. And they would take,
Wow.
like, your name is on this. And I'm like, okay, But for me, it was normal. It wasn't,
It was
it
normal for
was
you.
like, that was
Yeah.
you, that was Mama Yuri. It wasn't. Now, as I'm older, I'm like, wow, how
Mhm.
her to have sat in her house. this woman who held Malcolm X's hand his head in her hands as he is taking his last breath, to be
Wow.
able to have that relationship with her, and and now I have a relationship with her granddaughter. You know, it's
That's
profound.
legacy. That
Yes,
is
it's
legacy.
legacy.
That's legacy.
I'm so thankful to my parents that they didn't
Mhm.
shield us from being a part of it. We were a part of it just as much as they were, we were. And
Okay.
so I'm honored to be like, yes, Mama Yuri had my coloring pages on her refrigerator. And I was proud or something. I don't even remember, right?
Wow.
But that was a picture taken in her house. And I think that was soon after both of my parents were exonerated.
Mm.
And
Yay.
able to have dinner. She had a dinner there.
Oh,
And
wonderful.
mind you, I hadn't seen these pictures until my mom passed away 10 years ago. And maybe a few years after, her granddaughter reached out to me and
Mm.
said, hey, I have pictures of y'all. And she started sending me pictures. And
Okay.
it's like, oh my gosh. And one of the reasons why we don't have a lot of pictures is because during the times of our parents being incarcerated, they would raid our homes and
Yeah.
they would take our stuff
Mm.
or they would destroy it. And so
Oh,
to be able to, when people send me things, I cherish it because
yeah.
those are the only visual memories I can see is from what other people have. So
Right.
um,
Okay.
yeah, so that's a beautiful picture. And it brings up great memories, honestly.
Okay. I knew that was gonna have great stories behind it too. And what are your parents' names?
My mother is Fulani Sunni Ali, and my father is Bilal Sunni Ali.
Okay.
And they both have titles, but
Hmm.
that's their names.
Okay.
And then the next picture, and I'm really sad to say I do not remember the elders' names that are in this picture. The two
Hmm.
elders that are hugging Mama Azada, Auntie Azada Shakur. However, this picture is significant. I was 17 years old.
I see you stooped down in
Yep,
front of. Mm-hmm.
it was my first trip to Cuba.
Oh.
Went to Cuba with the Vencimos Brigade, and I was one out of the only two youth, and I was the only Black youth there. There was
Oh.
another youth there. She was a young, she wasn't, yeah, she was European that was
Wow.
there. Um, and so, yeah, I remember this picture because I was taking a picture with Auntie Asada, and everybody started running in, and I'm not a fangirl. I knew who she
Hmm.
was all my life, but this was my
Hmm.
first time physically meeting her. Obviously,
Hmm. Okay.
she was in exile. But the beautiful thing was, I remember, as you can see, she's touching my shoulder
Yes.
because she said to me, because I was just talking to her and like asking her things, and she was like, I don't want you to ask me things. I want you to tell me about all your beautiful life of
Oh.
7 years,
Oh.
because, and I think what was important for her was to know that we were doing okay, to know
Yes.
that she was in exile and
Hmm.
that we were okay, and that
Yeah.
her sacrifice
Meant something.
meant something, right? And
Wow.
so when, at first I was like, you want to know about me? I was like, you're the hero, you're mine, But
Yes.
as I got older, I realized why that was important for her.
Okay.
Um,
And why is that?
about this picture, and I think it's more vulnerable now because she's no longer here with us.
Yeah.
But I understand the meaning of our conversations more now, and
Hmm.
I appreciate it more. And of course, I always exalted her as a shero all my life.
Hmm.
And the fact that I was able to call her my aunt was so important. And a lot of the things that our parents did now, as we are all older, and I could say this on behalf of all my siblings and cousins, we appreciate in a whole nother way.
Okay.
And it's beautiful because, like you said, the legacy, like now, like all of us have relationships with all of their children. We all
Mhm.
have a relationship with one another.
Okay.
Uh, and
That's
so
good
her
to
daughter and
know,
I,
actually.
yeah, her daughter and I are very close. I was just on, asked by her daughter to join the committee to put the memorial together for her mother's celebration of life. And that
Okay.
was a labor of love. We did 6 months, I believe. It was about
Wow.
6 months. And it was an honor to, oh man, it was just an honor to be able to help and organize her life
Mhm.
celebration. Um, and I think, people don't understand what it means to be a service to others.
No, no, we
I
don't
look at
understand.
her whole, from the moment she joined the movement and went into exile, and until her last breath, she was a servant to the people.
Yeah.
And man, like I can't imagine, I know what my cousin went through, not having her mother at her access at all times.
Yeah.
I know what she went through living there with her mom for a while, but then having to come back and then having to have no access. I can't imagine it, but
Yeah.
I know that what I do know is that Auntie Asada loved her daughter, loved her grandchildren, and she was able to hug them at different times. And the legacy that she left is being carried on by her daughter and her grandchildren and her
Oh,
son-in-law. And that's important. And her sister is still present in this world, and to see them, it's a weird space because it's like we've all been through this traumatic life together, but to watch each other persevere through it is
mhm.
is amazing and humbling. And so this picture just represents so much for me, to have her essence. And I wanted to say one thing. My youngest daughter, none of my children ever met Auntie Asada. Of course, by the time they were born, she was deeper in exile,
Yeah.
right? So, but my youngest daughter is 17. And I bring this up because spirit is powerful. The creator is man. There's
Yeah.
no question of his immaculacy, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
My youngest daughter texted me one day and said, "Mom, Ima, I wrote this about Auntie Asada. Read it." And what she said in it was so powerful. And I remember I said, "Oh, I'm gonna send it to Kukuya. That's my cousin. I'm gonna send
Mhm.
that's the I said, I'm gonna send it to my cousin. I sent it to her, right?
Mhm.
And she said, "Oh my God, I'm gonna cherish this forever. This is so meaningful, especially on this day."
Mm.
And
Wow.
what happened? So we texted, and she said, and I can say it now, of course, but she
Mhm.
said, "You don't know it, but today my mom passed away."
Oh,
And I said, I didn't have any words. I just cried. And
wow.
I said, "How?" And of course I know how, but you still ask, how did my daughter, she's in
Mhm.
high school, they
The
said,
spirit.
write a topic, just write something that you just want to,
Mm.
and she had no idea that,
Wow.
right. So when I had to call my daughter back, because she said, "Oh, my teacher was like, well, how do you know her?" And she was like, "Oh, because when she wrote her, she mentioned her grandmother and her grandparents and stuff."
Yeah. Yeah.
And she was like, "Well, is she still alive?" And my daughter was like, "Yeah." She was like, "Well, how you know?" She said, "Because I would know if she wasn't." Not knowing
Oh,
she had passed that day. So
wow.
when I called my daughter back, and she was like, "What?" And I just said, that is all the creator
Ooh, I
moving
just have
together.
chills.
Yes, because
Mm.
how would my daughter at 17,
It's the spirit
you
of
know,
God.
how it be in the creator
It's
exactly.
the spirit of the Most High.
And it was just fulfilling because me and my cousin talked about how it was just another stamp of our connection.
Yeah.
We're connected no matter what,
Yeah.
And I was just like, she never even met her, but the profoundness of what she had to say
Wow. And on that day,
on that
whew,
day,
mm,
September 25th.
okay, I wasn't expecting that story to come out of that image. Oh my God.
Yeah. Like, you know, and that's why I honestly, I really, when I think about my life, I'm always humbled
Yeah.
because it's people be like, oh, it's like a movie when I'm talking to you, and I'm like, I don't think
Ooh-wee.
I just think about it like
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
honored.
Oh my
The
God.
creator saw fit to, I don't
Mm,
know, like he,
mm.
so yeah, these two pictures are very profound. Hmm, part of
I
my life.
wasn't expecting that either. Oh my. Oh, jeez. I hate to go to the next slide, but okay.
But,
So I thought these two images were very
mm,
powerful, mostly because it includes brothers.
mm.
Tell me about the brothers. What's their story? Whew,
Mhm.
take your time. Just take your time. Oh
So
my
that
God,
first
I'm so
picture,
sorry.
uh,
Ooh,
my Uncle Matulu's celebration of life that we did in Atlanta, and holding the picture is my Uncle Kokai, who was a student of my Uncle Matulu since he was a teenager.
mm,
And the next person is Dr. Tatsu Harano, which we call Uncle Tots.
mhm,
He
mhm,
is Japanese, but he was an activist in the movement. And then that's my father at the end holding the picture up with them. And he also he's my uncle's brother.
mm,
Um, those three and my uncle were part of what we call BANA. BANA is and I don't want to get it wrong, but it's black acupuncturists. Lord, I'm sorry. Let me pull it up. I don't like to say it and it's wrong, but I'll make
okay.
sure I correct it. Um, yes, it's Black Acupuncture of North America. And they formed that because my Uncle Matulu became an acupuncturist
Mm,
early in the 70s. Well, actually, late 60s, 70s. And what they did was Banner's first space was in New York, in Harlem, New York.
mhm,
They took over a clinic there, and he would treat young Black people and Hispanic people of color from drugs, from drug overdose, and he
mm.
would cure them. And
Wow.
all of them were under him at one point. Now, Dr. Kokai, my uncle, has his own clinic and carrying on the banner with ADS Collective Acupuncture Detox. And
Mm,
there's different chapters all over and he lives in DC. So there's different chapters in DC, Detroit, Atlanta, New York, California, just everywhere, Baltimore,
yeah.
um, Philadelphia. And then so that was at my uncle's memorial. Uh, my uncle Matulu had served 37 years in prison.
Oh God.
Um, and he was released December, trying to get the dates correct, make sure. December 12th, I believe. 2000, 2002.
Wow.
I get accurate for you, but I remember and he lived for about 9 months. He
Mm.
was they had deemed him to be dying from cancer. He had cancer, terminal cancer.
Oh,
I
sheesh.
remember the week he got out of prison, he came home to California. My
Mm.
cousin, his daughter called us and said he wants to see y'all.
Wow.
Um, my sisters and I, the ones who we got together and we flew to California and we visited him for 3 days. And it was one of the best weekends of my life. We were able to just be with him and took him to rest. He ate whatever. We just had a good time. He called and said, I was like, what you want, Uncle? He said, I want bean pie and butter pecan ice cream.
Oh God.
And we were stopping on the way and we went and got what he wanted. And everybody was like, oh, he needs to be eating healthy. I said, this man served 37 years being told what to do. If he called me, I'm gonna give him whatever he wants.
That's right.
He deserved it. He earned it.
Yeah.
And yeah. So he was growing up. He would call the house. We would be able to talk to him while he was in prison. But he never, to the day he died, stood down from what he believed in for the freedom of our people. And his legacy is going through his children. His son was Tupac Shakur. His daughter now is the Setua Shakur, runs the Tupac Shakur Foundation. His other son, who's his namesake, Mopreem Little Mutulu Shakur, just wrote a book about growing up this thug life. His other son, Talib Shakur, is writing he's doing a documentary.
Oh, I'm so glad that they're writing.
Yeah, he didn't grow up knowing who his father was. He didn't know who his father was. He was in his late 30s. And so he's writing a documentary or filming a documentary on how I became a Shakur. And so the legacies are being carried on,
Awesome.
through all the different works. And he was one of, he would call me when especially after he got out, we talked all the time. He'd be like, sister. And that's how he talked to everybody, sister. Like, I loved your mama.
Oh.
I loved her fried fish. Next time you come up here, fry me some fish like your mama.
Okay.
I got you. I wasn't able to do it, but just the memory and knowing that's
wow.
Those were the things that he remembered that he wanted to make sure that we knew. And I remember when we went to visit him, he told us that this was our time to tell our story and don't let nobody else tell it. Our legacy, and we have to take it up and do it. And that's what we're doing.
Ooh-wee. Okay. What I find so interesting but heartbreaking at the same time is that the young people today in our communities, in all of the urban cities that your family and their friends work to improve.
Yeah.
Even the basic mere fact that many of our young people are not literate.
Yeah.
They don't respect school, education, and community and family.
Right.
They don't understand what people before them went through in order to live the life that they live right now. They don't understand the background history, the background information, and they really need to.
They do.
And that's why before we talk about your school that you decided to open in order to continue this legacy. I wanted to give some historical background first.
Yes, absolutely. And I will say that my uncle Mutulu, he was in prison because he was named as one of the people to liberate Auntie Assata Shakur from the all-male prison. And so that's what he was for. One of the reasons, but the main reason.
Okay.
The next picture this is also a picture of all these young men are part of my life in some way. Elder men. But the beautiful thing is there's so many stories within this picture. There's so many people in this picture who carry their own legacy to
Yeah.
carry on,
Yeah.
and children. But this picture was taken after the memorial or the janaza of my uncle Sekou Odinga, who was also
Mm.
in prison for 32 years for the liberation of our Auntie Assata Shakur.
Wow.
And the beautiful thing with
Wow.
Sekou, he was one of my favorite uncles. My mom said when I was a baby and I would cry, he would walk the floors with me until I stopped crying, because my mom be like, I'm about to do something with her. He would like, just give it to me. And his name is Sekou Ngobazi.
Wow.
And my oldest son is actually named after him.
Mm.
Ngobazi means the right hand to the king. And but so this picture is we were actually at the repast. And I was like, let me take a picture. So standing up in the picture first, that's the first brother you see is my twin brother. Then
Oh.
my cousin, Malik Odinga, who is Uncle Sekou's son, and he's a twin. And then next to him is one of my other favorite uncles, Uncle Chewy, who was also served in prison for over 30 years.
Mm.
And then right next to him is a brother, Mogadishu, who was a staunch supporter. And when I say supporter, if my dad came into New York at 4 a.m., he'd be at the bus, the train, the airport, picking him up and making sure he had somewhere to stay, and then driving my father to go visit his comrades in prison. This man would cook. I mean, service to the servants is he. Next to him, if you haven't heard of Russell Maroon Schultz in the white, Russell Maroon Schultz was also a Black Liberation Army activist, a Black Panther who served over 40 years in prison and who escaped twice.
Wow.
He was released for terminal illness prior to him passing in prison. He didn't pass in prison. They allowed him to go home.
Okay.
He lived for maybe a month. But that's his son, Maroon Schultz III. And he's in his book. They have a book that they did of their father. And it is powerful to hear. He wrote the book, but they put it together. So Schultz wrote the book during prison, and his children put it together. And his daughter and son, Russell and Teresa and dang, I don't even know why. And Sharon, they all, worked together on it. And then next to him is my Uncle Kokai, who I said before. Now, I don't know the other brother standing, but then you have my father sitting in white, my Uncle Sekou's other son, Dada G. And then on the end sitting is another amazing freedom fighter who served in prison for almost 50 years. He was the third person who was in prison for the liberation of Assata Shakur. And his name is Baba Sundiata Akoli. He's still living. He just actually had his 81st birthday.
Wow.
And so this picture, like I said, there's so many historical pieces within this picture, but it was after the janaza of my Uncle Sekou Odinga, who they all served with, and they were brothers. And so my Uncle Matulu, my father, and Uncle Sekou were raised under Abba Shakur, who the original Shakur name came from. And he's the one who gave all three of them the name. My father and my Uncle Sekou decided to carry the name Sunni Ali and Odinga based off of what they decided, but they still had Shakur within their different names. Like my middle name is Shakur and my twin brother's name is Shakur. But that's how the Shakur family was formed, with Abba Shakur and his wife, Mariama Shakur, and they had two sons and a daughter. And their two sons we called Uncle Zaid Malik Shakur, who was killed on a turnpike with Auntie Assata Shakur. And then his other son, Lumumba Shakur, was assassinated in New Orleans. And yeah, that's a lot.
Wow.
But he basically, we all grew up together. Our parents grew up together from the ages between 12 and 15, and then they raised all of us together as cousins and siblings, and those was our aunts and uncles.
Okay.
So yeah.
Ooh, okay. Enough with the emotions.
Yeah.
I don't want to move forward because I'm just so touched by the stories. They're very interesting, very heartwarming, heartbreaking, amazing stories. But it is time for a commercial break from one of the people that helps sponsor this network. Okay, I'm sorry. I gotta go.
Have you seen all the solar farms popping up everywhere? You know, the big fields with the solar panels. There's one in our community. They produce electricity using the clean energy of the sun to send to the power grid to reduce our energy costs. Because not everybody can get solar panels put on their roof the way I have, but everybody can enroll for free to share the energy produced by the solar farms. That's why they were built. You know you're supposed to be getting a 10 to 20% savings on your bill for that, right? Illinois has a goal to transition by 2050 to 100% clean energy. So everybody needs to be connected. People in other communities are already getting their savings. So I'll be by to see you because they want to make sure you get your savings as well. It just takes a few minutes. I'm Naima Latif. Call me if you have any questions. 312-849-3456.
Woo, okay. My goodness. I'm telling you, I got tears over here. My heart is just, I'm just touched by the stories that we don't hear. But if you could do me a favor, not right now, actually, but after we're done, could you send me a list of the books that you mentioned that the children and grandchildren of these heroes are writing?
Yes.
I want to attach it in the comments of the video that's going to be on YouTube. I think it's important for. Oh my God. Okay. I was not expecting those types of stories. I was not, but I'm happy for them. I'm grateful that um that we can spread those stories so that the public can understand the sacrifices made that we don't hear about, and that we're given a different view of your family and their family and these people. We're given a different view of them. We our children are made to look at them like they are criminals, and they're not.
They're not. Yeah.
They're not.
Yeah.
So okay, so these are the last two, I believe. And I chose these two because they look like they were advertising something, and I really like the title on the image on the left side, Educate to Liberate.
Yes.
Could you explain what's happening in these two images?
Yes, absolutely. So yes, Educate to Liberate is it was actually formatted by a school called Quilombo Academic Institute, which has been around. This last year was their 20th year. And that school was established by a New African warrior, freedom fighter, Mama Aminata Umoja, and her daughter, and one of my good sisters, god sisters, Ayo and Kita Mayala. They formed that school 20 years ago. And a few years ago, about 5 years ago, like right during COVID, they said, you know what, we need to do a call, Educate to Liberate. So Educate to Liberate, and just to kind of sum it up, it's now a collaboration of another school called Tamu Sana Kanyama Academy, Preparatory Academy, which is run by my cousin. Her parents were also in the movement. Her parents are Tamu and Hekima Kanyama. And then now we add our school, Goshen Hebrew Academy at Temple Kifarim. And now we have these 3 schools. And the significance of Educate to Liberate and all of us coming together is because we all grew up together. Not my mommy, Nada, but her daughter, my cousin, and our parents were all in the movement together. And now us as the daughters of these movement warrior builders are now coming together and doing Educate to Liberate. So Educate to Liberate basically is it's a play on so many different words. We all have a school. Our schools are education to liberate, not just to liberate you from what the schools are teaching you in the public school system, but to liberate you spiritually, financially, emotionally, physically, you know. And when we say to liberate, we always want to say we're liberating, not taking something, but liberating means uplifting. We're giving you more. We're giving you the ability to breathe, to be free. And when we say those words, that's what we're breathing out. We're saying educate to liberate yourself from all things that are causing you to feel restrained or enslaved or, behind. Liberate yourself. When I Mama Asada was liberated, because people like to say she escaped. No, she was liberated. She was freed from the chain. So to liberate yourself is to free yourself. So that's the gist of Educate to Liberate. The flyer on the side saying building a liberation school. And when we say that, it's really a building a liberation campus, because what we're looking at is buying land in the city of Atlanta, Decatur, that area, in that population area, where we all a school on this one campus. Like I have my school on my land campus, but then we'll have a satellite school on the Liberation campus. We'll also have like the Black man's lab there, the Black woman's lab, which are all tools for us to engage, institute, invite, and liberate our children, our youth, and teach them and give them financial literacy, help them with reading, tutoring, math, all the skills that they need. So the Liberation Campus is not just for our schools, it's for other Black independent formations that are about freedom for our people, first and foremost. And so we are building that Liberation Campus to provide that space for all to be able to come. And the children may want to go to all 3 schools, and take a class at all the schools. However, they have that ability. And we work together to make sure that they have that ability. So that's where that.
Okay, I love it. Wow.
Thank
you. Okay. These are the next images.
The picture on the right, where myself, my twin brother, my father, and one of my older sisters were holding the sign, the Black Panther Party way. Significance is amazing, because in Harlem, they renamed the street where the first Black Panther Party headquarters was, which my father is the founding member of what they call the notorious Harlem and Bronx Black Panther Party chapters.
Wow.
So it was an honor to take my father there and see him with his comrades, because there's other pictures with all the ones that are still living, not all of them, but the ones that were able to make it. To see them name the street, hold the sign in our hand, and watch them, unflag it, unveil it. It was beautiful just to be there with that, and to meet other Cubs that I haven't met, and to be reunited with Cubs that I haven't seen. It was a lot of Cubs there that, I grew up with, and some that I haven't met, but it was just an honor to, meet them and the veterans. But this was about a couple of years ago. It was actually about probably a year and a half before my father passed. So this was one of the last kind of trips that we took with him. And it was an honor. It was beautiful to be there. My children were there, my siblings. So it was beautiful.
It's so amazing that he could have such a great experience at the end of his life, given what you have shared about the beginnings of his adulthood.
Yeah. My father was an amazing being. I could say so much about my father as a father alone, let alone everything else he did. But he was he was part of they called him the spirit of the Midnight Band. He was actually, he played the saxophone, flute, and harmonica in the band with Gil Scott-Heron in the Midnight Band. And they called him the spirit of the band. But my father, as tall as he is, he was a very, they used to call him the quiet warrior.
Wow.
The gentle giant. But when he was ready, though, he was a force, but he was a phenomenal father, husband. He took care of my mother to her last breath. And he was a great example of how to be a husband, how to be faithful to who you are as a man, a father. I had the pleasure. Really, it was an honor and a pleasure, and it was heartbreaking all at the same time. But I was able to take care of my father until his last breath.
That is an honor.
I can't. It's never going to be enough I can say about the impact he had on me as a daughter, and to appreciate who he is as a man and what levels to place a man on. He taught me that.
Yeah.
So I'm grateful. I'm grateful my sisters and I had that. I'm grateful my brothers had it. And I'm grateful his grandchildren were able to experience it. And his great-grandchildren, because he had a couple of them that he was able to meet.
Okay.
Yeah. The next picture, I love this picture. It's two of my sisters, not even all of us. It's about 21 of us siblings in this blended family that we have.
21.
Yeah. So this is, and these are just two, right? But to the right of me is my youngest, my baby sister. That was the baby that was in my mother's stomach in that newspaper clipping.
Okay.
And to the left of me is my oldest sister. She's the oldest of us all, and the sisters, Aisha. Her and I are 10 years and 11 days apart. She just turned 59. And yeah, she's a phenomenal being. She does so much in the community, working, everything. Legacy. And so what you see here is we have a podcast. It's called Seedz of Revolution, Daughters of the Whirlwind. And so our podcast is on all platforms. But what we do is we talk about how we grew up. We don't talk about everything because we are working on a documentary. We're working on books. We're working on Shakur legacy documentary with our Shakur side of our family. So we have a lot of things that we're doing. But if you check us out, though, there's interviews with Mutulu Shakur's children, with Fred Hampton's son, Fred Hampton Jr., Chairman Fred Hampton Jr., who we call our cousin, who we all know the story of his father. and how his father was assassinated at the age of 21, and how
Yeah.
Fred Jr. and his mother survived,
Yeah.
an ambush. It wasn't just a simple assassin. They ambushed them, but
Yeah.
they survived. And his story is phenomenal. And he's carrying on his legacy. And so we interview what we call our cup cousins, our revolutionary cousins, our blood, each other, our children, and we talk about how we grew up so that the world can know that we are still here, that they tried to bury us, but they didn't know we were thieves, and we grew.
Wow.
And yeah, we even have a one where we call growing up. So we have one like growing up Shakur, growing up Hampton, growing up Maroon, where it talks to Russell Maroon Schultz's children, and growing up Sunni Ali, where some of our children, some of my children and my brother's children, are on there reflecting about growing up as grandchildren.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, and we have, so we have interviews from so many different facets, but and we have interviews talking about health and mental health, mental awareness. So if you begin with this, we're going into our 5th season this year. We're launching in Black August. Yeah, so if you're desiring to know more, you can tune in to the podcast for sure. But we're definitely going to have more for the people to know and understand the true legacies of our parents of the movement.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. And this is the last image. This is how you have decided to continue that legacy that you just talked about.
Yes. Yeah.
Tell us about your work.
All right. This it's really hard to. I'm really shy about just talking about my work, because I feel like it's just work, like
I understand. Well, I'll start with repeating what I said in the beginning. I didn't understand. I didn't understand how a virtual school could work, how it could be impactful,
Right.
how it can be so well organized. Your school, though it's virtual, and I also saw images on your Facebook page where you have events, school events
Yes.
on your land. So
Yes.
I want you to explain what your school is, what it does, who it services, and
Okay.
then talk about how you have both virtual school and face-to-face activities events.
Absolutely. Okay. Before I begin, thank you so much, Zakwena, Michelle, Professor Israel. Definitely been a healing conversation today for me.
Awesome.
Different emotions that I didn't even realize. Sometimes you don't realize they're there.
Yeah.
But I thank you for that. And thank you just for this opportunity to share, and I pray that somebody, because there's so many children of the revolution that haven't healed or are healing, but are quiet because they don't know how to talk about it. So I pray that they hear this, that they're able to talk about it.
Okay.
Or if they haven't been able to, that they find someone. Because it doesn't have to be an open platform. It could be in a quiet room. It could be them writing in a journal, but just write about it, release a lot of
It can
it.
be one person that they're talking to. Doesn't have to
Yeah.
be the world.
Exactly. Yeah. So, prayerfully, it's healing for some, in so many different ways. So Goshen Hebrew Academy at Temple Kipharim. Woo, I love this school. And I say that genuinely because when my husband is the one who had the vision. When he came to me at first, I was like, "Oh, I'm good. I don't think I want to do that. I got children. I had 5 children. I'm like, I don't work. Oh, I'm good. Like, I'm in this stage now. I want to do me. We get like that.
Yeah.
However, the creator said, you're going to go do that school and you're going to get it done and you're going to fulfill your husband's vision because that's part of your duty as a wife, is to take what they have and to bring it to fruition as much as possible. So I prayed about it and I followed the guidelines that the Most High laid before me to do. And so Goshen Hebrew Academy at Tipple Kefarim is a virtual school. We service students from pre-K to 12th grade. As you can see, our line motto is educate, enlighten, encourage, and empower. Yeah. And the beautiful thing about those words was when we began this school 6 years ago, I have 5 children. 2 of my oldest daughters decided, hey, we're going to help with this school. And they helped to formulate what you see here, the logo and those 4 words.
Okay.
And it was amazing to see them do the work. They did a lot of help with the foundation of this school, of building this school, along with, a few other people. So I'm grateful, for my children being a part of this.
Okay.
But yeah, so we're a virtual school. So as Aquina said, and believe me, at first I was like, oh gosh, a virtual school. Woo, I don't know how we're going to do it. Because you got to think about it. In regular class, you have like, you're telling children to sit down, be quiet, pay attention.
It already has its issues. Like,
yeah. What in the world? How are we going to do it?
But
you got to go in and you pray and you ask the Creator for guidance.
And especially during a time where we now know,
yes,
on the back end of the introduction of technology in the classrooms, we now know that too much screen time is not good for the young people, especially the younger ones whose brains are still developing. But you're making it work.
Absolutely. So what we decided, and it was trial and error, believe me. The first couple of years, I was like, oh yeah, this ain't gonna work, y'all. We might need to fold it up, say we did it. But then some things shifted and I became like the head principal. Charge of everything. And I started just looking at it more intricately, looking at it truly as a baby, like, okay, now how do we develop this baby into this greatness? How do we give the best of ourselves, virtually to these youth who are all over the world, mind you, who some believe what we believe. So we all live in differently, right? Our is Hebrew based, Torah foundation based. However, our students are not all Torah foundation. We have students who believe in Islam, students who believe in the Torah. We have students who believe in the First Testament and the Old Testament. We have students who just believe in the Creator.
Yeah.
So with what I always try to remind everyone is that the one thing the Creator said to us, that we are a light to the nations.
Yeah.
So in order to be a light, we can't be closed in, right? We got to be open.
Right. That's right.
Find so many different walks of life. Be like, oh no, you don't agree with me. I don't agree with you. Boom, right? And it's done. Yeah. We got to find ways to figure out. We may not agree. First of all, 2 people that believe the same don't agree on everything.
That's true.
We can. We should automatically know that if we don't believe the same way, we definitely don't agree on everything. But that does not mean we can't work together. That does not mean we can't find education and empowerment from one another. That does not mean that you could tell me something that I didn't even think. Oh, you know what? That's enlightenment, right?
Yeah.
And so that's how I started to go into it. Like, no, we're not closing this off just for Torah-based children, because everybody needs education. All of our children need education.
Yes.
One of our rules is you don't have to take our Torah and culture class if you feel like it's if it's going to impede on your spiritual growth for your child. They don't have to attend that class. But we offer all the core classes: math, ELA, science, social studies, art, music. A lot of the classes that public schools no longer have removed from their curriculum, from all their structure. And so I was like, okay, I want to give the children everything that they cannot get in a public school setting. Because I had music in school growing up. I took auto mechanics. I did all the things, typing.
Yeah.
So I was like, dang, like how do the children not? They don't even do cursive writing. What? So looking at all that, I was like, okay, so now we have to revamp and say, how are we going to give the children all of this and still, as you said, Zaquena, keep them healthy from being in front of computers all day?
All day, yeah.
So what we implemented in between were breaks.
Can you hold on just a second?
Yes, ma'am.
Before you get to how you manage the school.
Okay.
That's my next question, but I want to go to this commercial break and then get right back to that. So hold that thought.
Absolutely.
Everybody has a story to tell. And as a self-published author, it's time for you to polish your work to increase its value. It's time for you to produce high quality finished work that can go in bookstores, libraries, and schools. It's time for you to build your story better, to authenticate it. The Jeremiah 9 Writer's Experience will help you do just that. Register at michellerenee.com. This video was sponsored by Stevie Robinson and Preacherhead Ministries at preacherhead.org. Okay, so now let's get back to how you manage the school. That's the question. Tell us about how your online school is managed.
Okay, so how we manage the school is we have we use the outlet or the resource Zoom. And so basically everybody comes into Zoom. We have a morning inspiration. We have morning inspiration through affirmations, through spiritual music, uplifting music. We have announcements. The children do prayer, and then they recite the Shema, which is found in the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 6, verses 4 through 13. And we do that to reiterate the words that the Most High said for us to do do his law, to be righteous, to be whole, to teach our children, to teach our children diligently. Those are things, and we do that because the more the children hear it, it's repetitive. We're not trying to say your children have to be Hebrew, but we do have to teach our children diligently, and whatever we're teaching them, whatever we believe in, whatever your household believes in, it's important that you teach it to them diligently. You speak it to them every day. You and not just speak it to them, but you sit and talk about it. That's important with children, to talk about why they're doing something. A lot of times, and I've done it and I do it. When a child says why, you be like, because I said so. I believe there's a time for that reply. And then there's a time to say, this is why. And I learned that from my parents, because believe me, Zaquena, it was many times growing up when we'd be like, why we gotta be quiet? Why we gotta be this disciplined? And there were times when my parents would be like, because we said so. And then there were times when they would sit us down and break it down of what would be the ramifications if we did not. These are the reasons why. And so reciting the Shema reminds me of that, because it's the Most High's words. It's him saying, this is what I want you to do for your children, right? This is what I want you to do for yourself as a reminder. And then, of course, we break off into our classrooms. All the teachers come in. We say, Boker Tov, which means good day, or good rising. We say that to all the students before they go off to class. We go over our rules of how you have to raise your hand, how you have to, remain on mute. We have a set of rules that we abide by. We have uniforms. And the reason why we reinforce the uniforms is because if we look at if you're in a like you and I are here and we're in a class together, but I'm coming in class flashy every day, at some point you're going to be focused on what I'm aware every day versus
Yeah.
what you're trying to learn.
Mm-hmm.
So he said, okay, we have to have a uniform so that the children, when they're looking at each other, they're seeing each other. They're not seeing, oh, look at her shirt. She got this. Ooh, and then they want to talk about that
Mm-hmm.
versus now they be like, oh, I like your uniform shirt, and then the
Mm-hmm.
teachers have to wear the uniform shirt too, because it's about unification, it's about identity, it's about relatability. And when you're in
Mm-hmm.
a virtual setting, you have to find as many things that they can see that bring them together than apart.
Mm-hmm.
So that was part of what the uniform protocol came about.
Okay.
The other thing is, we do breakout rooms. The teachers go to their rooms. They teach the students virtually. They have different programs they work on from, that we supply them. They have built curriculums that we work on. Zaquena Michelle, we thank her and my sister, Dr. Santawa, because they both led our professional development workshops. So our goal is to give our teachers everything they need so that they can in turn give the children, our scholars, our youth, everything they need.
Yeah.
And it's not easy. We have hiccups all the time. It's learning a curve for everybody, from us as the founders to the
Yeah.
teachers to the students to the parents.
Yeah.
When you're doing virtual school, it's like a village. Everybody has to be involved,
Yeah.
you know, and everybody has to know the importance of being involved, because you could be like, oh, my child got this. And as a parent, whether your child is in virtual school or physical school, you have to be involved. You
Mm-hmm.
can't depend on your child to be like, go, oh, you have homework? And they be like, no, I ain't got no homework. And you just walk away.
Right.
It happens whether they're in virtual school or physical school.
Right.
Our
Parent
job is go,
involvement is
yeah.
important.
And the beautiful thing with virtual school is the parent can be connected directly to the child's school. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I can add that parent to that child's classroom, and they can see every assignment that the child has to do, what they haven't done. They
Mm-hmm.
can directly talk to the teachers. We do a lot of communication, daily announcements. If you have a question or concern, you can pick up the phone and call me, text me,
Mm-hmm.
whatever. I'm here. I'm available all the time. And I know a lot of people are like, you need to take a break, but I take breaks when they're needed. But when it's school
Right.
time, we have to be available, because
Right.
everything can happen. Our students, like I said, we have students all over the world. We have some in Belize, Abu Dhabi, Michigan, Indiana, New York, Georgia, uh, Alabama, and we have students with special needs. We
Yeah.
have, so many different things, we challenges that
Yeah.
we face. However, we come together as a team. We have team building meetings. We have PTA for our school so that the parents can stay involved, the students can stay involved. Um, this year, we're looking at building out more clubs so that the students can build their bonds together, do more field trips, whether they're virtually. And when you do a virtual field trip, it's not easy, but it's not hard. And it's just a concept of, okay, we're in Atlanta. We're going to go to the zoo today. All right, the
Oh.
children in Ohio are going to the zoo too. What we do is we connect with the facilities in every state and make sure that they're open the same days, and then we all go. But we take pictures, and we call it education excursion, because that
Okay.
means being educated at the same time while they're on this excursion, and it
Okay.
counts as a day of school. And because we're a faith-based school, we also get to have our spiritual holy days accounted for as educational days of school.
Mm.
So it's little things that you gotta, it's more of
Okay.
your own research to figure out how it works for you. But like I said, every day we have hiccups. There's not one week where we don't have something, Zoom acting up, or a student, something where their
Yeah.
computer's down, something.
Yeah.
It's the way of the world, you know.
Okay.
But we just work through it, and because we have great supporters And when I tell y'all, I know she asked me, but Zaquina Michelle, because of her own dedication to having her own independent Hebrew school for so many years, pulling on her and getting her advice. And even though it wasn't virtual, but she brings so much advice and tutorship to us that we have to sit and take it and utilize it. And that's one of the other parts of this virtual program working, is sitting at the feet of elders, asking the questions, and then not just sitting there, but taking the information and utilizing it. So I do a lot of that because I know I came from that. I watched my parents go and sit at the feet of their elders, and gain the information and then go back and utilize it.
Wow.
I watched them pull resources from different areas. Whether we agree or not, the resource is the resource, right? And if we could use it, we're going to use it. And so building the school, for me, carrying on the legacy, I think about how the Black Panther Party started the food program, right? The free lunch program. So many but they don't know the origin of it, right? And so I know, like, oh, yeah, that's why this is important, because they wanted to. Every child needs food, needs nourishment, needs nutrition.
Yes,
and it comes in all type of different forms, and making sure they have their education as part of it. So that's really where all that came from. Really, it was my husband's vision. Together we founded it. And then he said, here, I know you could do it. I didn't know I could do it. I really didn't. I think it was because I didn't want to do it, honestly,
I'm laughing because you mentioned that I had a Hebrew school 2 years ago. And I ran it for 18 years, but I didn't want to do it either.
Yeah.
It was my husband's vision. I'm like, I don't know how to do that.
Right, exactly. And they were like, yes, you do.
I prayed about it, and the resources, the information, it just came. So I understand what you mean.
And
it's already hard enough to run a school, to be a head of a school that you go to every day. You see the students, you hug the students, but virtually, I'm like, oh. No, okay, they done lost it. I don't know how they're gonna make that work. But you make it work. I was so impressed with how you organized it. I want to know though, how do you ensure that the students that attend Goshen Hebrew Academy are active, engaged, and learning? How do you make sure that happens?
Tricks, man. You gotta have. We do incentives. We do programs like Wayground, where we do assessments by having fun. We do our best to make it fun, because one thing, I can't sit through an hour lecture of just blah 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 blah. It's a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Our attention spans are not like. So I know as an adult, and I don't have what they kind of call you, label, all these labels, but I just sitting there is a lot. So we take in between. So you might have a class from 9 to 9:35. Our younger grades have shorter classes, shorter class lengths. Our older grades have longer class lengths. But in between, we have breaks, mindfulness breaks, where we be like, okay, everybody get up away from the computer, go do something for 15 minutes. Whether you take a quick nap, whether you go outside and just run around your house, you just stretch outside, whether you go get water, a snack. But we do this because we're like, you can't sit in front of this computer and not have a moment. A lot of our teachers implement in the beginning of their class. They're like, okay, we're going to get started in 5 minutes. Y'all have 5 minutes to finish going to the bathroom, to gather your stuff, all the things, because they know this is a lot for children. And then what we implement is music. A lot of our, especially smaller classes, will play videos, like a Hebrew song that teaches them the alphabet, or a health song that teaches them about health. Or if they're doing horticulture, she might play a funny video about growing plants or something. So we strive to give them fun in the midst of it, so they're not even they're not even like, oh man, I've been in front of this computer all day. It
Mm-hmm.
may seem like it because we're a virtual school, but
Yeah.
we do have breaks. This year we are doing even a virtual, it's like no virtual school day, right? So
Mm-hmm.
we're having school, but it's just not virtual. So that
Okay.
means that now the student just goes into their Google Classroom, see their written assignment, do the assignment, and basically that assignment though is going to lead them to do something outside or in
Mm-hmm.
the house, but not
Mm-hmm.
sitting in front of the computer. They're not going to be able to use the computer to answer their questions.
Mm-hmm.
Everything is going to be hands-on. We're implementing workbooks now where you're not going to another computer source resource for your homework. We're giving workbooks so that now the children are actually using their hands to write,
Mm-hmm.
where they're using their hands to write their papers, to answer these science and social studies questions.
Yeah.
Important for their cognitive discipline and learning that as they write to remember, and that's
Mm-hmm.
something I know for me. If I
Mm-hmm.
don't take myself, I don't remember as well. But when I can take
Exactly.
a, like we,
It's brain
I talk
science.
about
It's
it,
brain science. It's how the brain
it's so much more.
operates.
Right. It's impactful for us but those
Mm-hmm.
motor skills still have to be done. We have PE where they have to get up and run, jumping jacks, push-ups, whatever the PE video is about. I play videos where we do a dance break. I'm like, all right, y'all, let's do a dance break. And the children love it because they get to get up and dance with the video. Or we might do the floor is lava games where so we do our best to implement fun, energetic, interactive, where they're not just sitting, they're up and moving, and then
Mm-hmm.
they have also breaks from being in front of this computer because even as the teachers you need a break, as the administrators you need a break. So
Yeah.
we're doing more this year than we've done in the past years,
Yeah.
um, to implement these
Okay.
exercises for our students and bringing back cursive because I have a son who's going to 11th grade, and he's been in public school these last few years,
Mm-hmm.
living with his father, and he's back living with me now, and he doesn't know how to do cursive. I had him sign a check the other day that he got a check.
Mm-hmm.
I said,
Yeah.
sign your name. He said, I am. I said, and
That's
cursive.
yeah.
He said,
Yeah.
oh, I know how to do that. I said, oh my gosh.
Okay.
We have to go back to the basics.
To go
And I
back to
tell
the
students
basics.
all the time, if your computer breaks and your teacher says you still got to give me that paper, how you gonna write the paper?
Mm-hmm.
Never written a paper.
That's
Written
right. Yeah.
physically
And
a paper.
yeah, that brings us to the end of this episode.
Yes, ma'am.
And you talked about things that are essential to make sure that virtual learning is
Hmm.
successful. And I'd like to reiterate those things.
Yes,
Four
ma'am.
things, because I teach virtually too, and I
Yes.
have to make sure that the students that I
Hmm.
teach adults though. I teach
Okay.
adults and I teach teachers. One
Hmm.
thing is when you're teaching virtually, cameras have to be on.
Yes.
Cameras
Yes.
have to be on in order to create those relationships and those
Hmm.
bonds
Yes.
necessary for
Yes.
teaching and learning because we know that teaching and learning is the basis of it, the foundation is relationships. So
Hmm.
you can't build relationships virtually if your camera's not on. You got those black screens that drive me crazy.
Yes.
So that's one. Second
Hmm.
thing you talked about are breaks and movement.
Hmm.
It is important that we don't sit at our computers every day, all day long.
Hmm.
Got to have breaks and movement. And the
Yes.
children need that in order for them to be able to learn successfully online. The
Hmm.
third thing you talked about is our notes.
Yes.
Something happens in the brain where when you take notes with old fashioned pen and paper,
Hmm.
there are pieces of the brain in the prefrontal cortex that literally light up
Yeah.
and help us to remember better. And then the
Hmm.
last thing is the choice of physical books, and you talked about that, incorporating workbooks instead of always choosing ebooks and having work to do online.
Right.
Physical books. If anybody's listening that decide to enroll in this virtual school or
Mhm.
another virtual school, it is important to order the actual books.
Yep, that's
Children need to be able to manipulate the actual books.
that's right.
So online learning is not going to go anywhere.
No.
And it is helping a lot of people in a lot of different levels, a lot of places. But those four simple things that she talked about that I recap are important for successful online learning. Cameras
Absolutely.
on, books, breaks and movement,
Mhm.
notes with the actual pen and paper, and physical books versus ebooks.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
thank you so much for your input today. Thank you for giving us the backstory that we don't hear
Mhm.
about the movement and the players in the movement, and especially the children of the
Yes.
movement. That was very important for people to understand. Don't forget to send me the links or the names of all the books that you mentioned that
Yes.
we need to read. Um, don't, and I will put that list of books in the comments of this video.
Yes.
And thank you for sharing your school. Thank you for doing the work. And thank you for inviting me to be a part of your professional development team. It's
Thank
close to
you.
my heart. Education of Black children,
Mhm.
especially cultural children and Hebrew children, is very important to me. Because when
Yes.
I first started this lifestyle at 19, my question, it was the only thing in the world that made sense to me at that time. And my
Mhm.
question to the Most High was, what can I do to help? And he
Absolutely.
gave me the job of
Mm.
educating our young people and
Abs-
working with and coaching, teaching those people who educate our young people.
mm.
So
Yeah.
thank you
And
so much. And I'm so happy. I'm so happy to have you share all those fantastic stories. And
thank
I'm
you.
happy that our paths have crossed.
Absolutely. Yes. Absolutely. Giving thanks to the Creator for all of it, for like you said, our past crossing, for our own stories, because every one of us have a story that is impactful for someone.
Yes,
Um, I'm thankful for the opportunity, like you said, to teach the children, to teach the youth, because
yes,
that's a very important job, you
yes.
know, and to be able to get up every day and smile doing it is super important. We can't go in
Mhm.
there if we go in there mad and not wanting to, we're not being impactful. The
We're
children
not
feel
being
it,
impactful. Yeah,
so
they
we have
do.
to be mindful. If we're not feeling it, take a break. Ask somebody
Yeah.
to step in. It's
Hmm.
okay. That's the other part. We got to let each other know it's okay to not be okay that day or
Yeah,
one of these days. So, I'm grateful to the Creator. I am, because He's given me that opportunity to be able to do so. And the information is scrolling across for any information you want about the school. You can also, if you have a question you want to ask me, you can send it there as well. I answer those along with my assistant. But yes, I look forward to continuing this conversation with you, Zaquina Michelle, on this platform. This is a beautiful platform. The commercials were very impactful, informative, and I'm proud of us as women, of Black women here in this diaspora, and being a voice and standing up. So we're
okay.
right
And
there.
with that, I want to show before we close out with the Female Solution Global Network, I want to close with the video of your first graduation. And congratulations with that.
Thank
The
you
first
so much.
graduation.
Yes.
When did that happen before I
Uh,
show the video?
the first graduation was June 14th, 2026. And
Yay.
it was on our land,
It
which
just happened
is a picture
last
of
month.
last month. And we do a lot of our school activities on the land. so that the children can come to the land and see our physical school building that we're building, and also just be able to be out here in this fresh air. So yes, so it was on the land June 14th, 2026, and we had 3 male graduates, and I'm super proud of them. I'm so proud of them.
Yeah, awesome. That is amazing. Okay.
Thank you.
You know, and so I'm thankful, that we are able to celebrate them, that we're able to uplift them, that we're able to, lift them up higher than even they probably would ever be able to feel. But because they have all of us here as their village, they can go beyond anything that they've ever thought they could.
I see a dream, that dream is green, and I don't mean material things. Come to the land, child, woman, and man, as we take up for what we stand. Better days and better nights, as we stand and unite. We're one and the same. Why is it so hard not to point and to blame? Better sheet, get our houses in order, and we'll see the peace. There are steps that we must take if we want to see. I see my people rising.
We've come to the end of our show today. If you missed any broadcasts, go to our website for the audio and video archives at www.thefemalesolution.com. On behalf of our team of radio hosts, I'd like to thank all of you who participated in today's discussions. And to our global family joining us from all around the world, we say thank you. To our family in China, xie xie. India, Dhanyavad. Japan, arigato. Korea, kamsamnida. Russia, spasiba. Germany, danke. Poland, dziękuję. France, merci. Spain, gracias. Italy, grazie. Egypt, shukran. Ghana, madasi. Nigeria, eshe. South Africa, ngiyabonga. Senegal, jareh. Kenya, asante. Israel, toda. Pakistan, shukriya. Afghanistan, tashakur. Saudi Arabia and Palestine, shukran. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Thank you, and may peace be upon you and the mercy of God and God's blessings.